to everybody. Salute to everybody that's doing their best to stay, safe and sound and healthy at this time. You know what I mean? Because it's definitely a complicated time. Definitely uh, difficult, frustrating, and things of that nature. Also, very revealing. You get to see the spirit of man, the hearts of men and women, of course. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make a sun's light for the Wealth Chambers experience here in the building, and that's why I chose this background. You know what I'm saying? So you can understand what the building is all about. Yeah, feel me? It's deeper understanding and esoteric information, also being capable and aware of the current events and raising the consciousness and vibration and frequency to you and all, while, we do have your attention. So, it's been an interesting week. Just, I know it's just Wednesday, what have you, and there's a couple more days, but usually I say the weekend starts around Friday, but nowadays, you may not even be able to tell. So, with that being said, and with this being done, want to make sure you go into the next phase of the vibration armed with harmony, right? Oh man, South Carolina and Georgia, it's gonna be a complicated time, man. You have to weigh your decisions, wisely. Whether you want to actually get into the reopening of the government and businesses, things of that nature. It's going to be interesting because we're not out of what we see as a viral storm and a virus storm and a long shot. Um, the the tolls are still rising, but this is an interesting time. We weren't scientifically savvy a few months ago. We weren't even paying attention too much except for memes and tweets. And a lot of people have been a little more proactive in getting information. Um, More people uh, than anything have been investigating. Uh, yeah, investigating certain theories and agendas, different mindsets have taken place. People saying this is the new normal. If if this is normal at all, and I want to challenge you on something, right? It's hard enough being doused with so much information. It's like just somebody spilling gas on you and then setting you on fire, and then that's it. This is what you believe is hot, or the the flame doesn't go on, and you're like, I'm not doused with gas. I don't know what you're talking about. It's so much more nuances going around that definitely want you to put your thinking cap on and do what's wise for you and your families. Regardless of what you believe in, regardless of what you look like. Because that's what it comes down to at the bottom line. This is something that's affecting humans. The COVID-19, I don't, it's something that's affecting the general population. And now is not the time for speculation to be the rule of the day. I understand it. You got to draw in the crowd. You got to get the numbers. Get this attention and follow suit. But when when it starts to simmer down, meaning all the rhetoric and the hoopla and things of that nature, why are we even invested in this, right? And ultimately, it's for you know the well-being of ourselves, our families, and our friends. And if you have somebody in your circle, I don't care if it's intimate or distant, that was afflicted with the COVID-19. First of all, I like to say, prayers up, um, peaceful journey to those that have passed from it. And I definitely want to say, I'm sorry. It wasn't cool for anybody to jump out the gate and speculate, not knowing all the details. And that's what's really concerning about it. It's like the lack of humanity, the lack of compassion, the insense, the in sensitivity, does weigh a lot, and where we're going with this. And I understand that people don't like being cooped up. I totally get it. There are a lot of people that are out there. The extroverts. Even if you're not an extrovert, you're just a person that just want to get out and just be free and liberated to what's going on. I get it. I get it. I get it. But we definitely have to pin this down, right? We don't want a worse situation to blow back at our efforts. One of the main reasons why this is starting to wind down is because we have taken the necessary steps to get the proper information and data, and also to isolate or contain the problem so we can learn more about it and also effectively tackle it. And this does a great service to our frontline members, our frontline health care workers. Everybody from the janitor to the doctors. And to this is very important. And just because we see a little light at the end of the tunnel, don't mean that we stop. You know, it doesn't mean that we push the locomotive all the way through yet, and we know that the tracks on the other side are underdeveloped, right? Um, so I say all that to say this: just be careful. Use your judgment. You know, um, there's people out here that may be a little more rambunctious than others and want to get things done, and you know want to press the issue and just out there. One thing that we've lost with the convenience of a lot of the technology that has come into play, and what I want to do is also switch over with the Omega Sun's Light situation to the wealth chambers. I've been doing a lot of study thanks to Wired magazine, thanks to a lot of different publications. They do a lot of websites. What's the other one I used to like? A Tech Marine, Marcus Brownlee. Android Authority, Business Insider. There's a lot of different Zen News. There's a lot of different um, sources to get some verifiable information and also cross reference and check the information. That's one thing I like to do before I even get onto the mic and the camera is to fact check as much as possible, cross reference, do comparative studies, get as much information on the situation as possible. So with the wealth chambers um, subject, I want to focus on photo recognition, the camera recognition system, and how long it's been in play. See, just like you see me right now through this camera right here, it's taken a long time to get to this point. Since the late 50s, early 60s. And we're going to talk about the person that pushed it ahead, basically dedicated his life to it, and the Wired article that covered it. I might do that in the next couple of days because I do want to refresh what was going on in the article, and also link it into what's going on now and why people do mention things like 5G and the movie Minority Report and all these different devices and different links and connections to forwarding the transmission of signals. And what does that have to do with politics and molding of social engineering? Very important, very deep information. If you have a wide view, and your vision is clear, you know, I just want to say, just for all the contributors that have put forth information about those things, I thank you for being in the field and going to that extra level to to get that extra bit of information and also strive to get clarity in the situation. That's a lot of that's a lot to conquer because what's not going on right now is people just basically sitting back and disseminating the data and information and where they're getting it from and scrutinizing sources. This is something that separates the scholars from the laymen. You want to say it like that? The professionals from the amateurs. You don't want to just put any information out because it could be misleading, and you may be cheering from a certain part of the peanut gallery or the bandstands, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. That doesn't necessarily mean that the information and data that you have has been fact checked, peer reviewed, and scrutinized to a point where we can consider it truth. And it's unfortunate that we have to go that way, but you got to understand that people also have agendas that they want to fulfill to make themselves look clean while dirty stuff is going on. And you definitely don't want to put too much trust in one side over the other. The main thing of being objective is to stay neutral and indifferent as possible until more information comes in. Then you use your power of discernment and your risen consciousness and vibration to, you know, sort out what you can be as a conclusion. But until then, the jury's still out. Hopefully, you know, because there's still people. I just walked out today earlier when it was nice outside, and I seen that, there still were people that, regardless of what you're going to tell them, they're going to do what they want to do. They're going to do what they want to do. They want to feel liberated. They want to feel free enough to say, "This is my choice," and I don't have a problem with that. But we also have to understand that this is a public service crisis. This is for the public sphere. And though you may feel a certain way, it shouldn't have to impede my path or the little old lady's path or the young child's path or the young man or young woman who's going to work's path. It shouldn't have to impede their path where they have to make these different decisions that may cause them to be a little more aggressive and throw salt on their day just because you want to do what you want to do. I figure it's, you know, very inconsiderate. Very inconsiderate. And if we can get to a point where we could be a little more considerate to each other's, and I said this before on uh, uh, um, my Anchor app, podcast. Consideration. I gotta actually go back there. I'm sorry. I haven't. I thought I had it on. I just want to get this out. But just a little bit of time to get more information and more details, and then you know uh, develop a plan of action for not just for yourself, but for your family and for your friends as well. How we're going to conduct what we need to conduct until this is over. A viral storm. Um, we have seen it before, and those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it, right? So they've mentioned the 5G stuff and all that. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that because it's a whole different subject, and it's really not relative to the coronavirus. I would like to have a conversation. Why? But with that, you can email me at chamberscii at gmail.com. And if you want to have that conversation, I'll put your name to the side and we can, powwow a little bit and see if we can do like a nice little live stream about it. But we have seen this from the early days, the medieval days. Of course, people talk about the Black Plague, um, the Spanish flu, Ebola, well, H1N1, and most recently Ebola. But Spanish flu is something to take in consideration of because it had the numbers that we are basically dealing with now. And because people felt laxed in the situation and, you know, wanted to gain ground on their personal liberties, they let people, do what they wanted to do. And when I say that, right, this is not to admonish and step down on the personal rights of any individual, any group, any person that's protected by the Constitution. There's also a Bill of Rights to say you can decline. There's a patient Bill of Rights to say you can decline service if you want. This is your decision, total. But what I must suggest and also and, um, and also make clear to you is that this is also a public issue. Once again, and what you do in this situation definitely affects the all. It definitely affects how long this has to take place. It definitely affects the strain and the overwhelming burden on the healthcare system that has already been strapped for a lot of things for the last 4 or 5 years. You know, um, so we really must get it together and be more conscientious about what our decision is going to be. And like I said, I feel you. I empathize. I know that if a person likes to work and they get up a certain time in the night or in the day and this is what they're accustomed to, it's hard to break those habits. The first thing is to understand that it's a routine, a habit. Maybe you need to replace that with something else. Just hear me out a little bit. Just hear me out. This is the divine data for your earthly matter, right? Just, just, just if you can replace that with something else that's a little more aligned with what you always wanted to do in your life, what you always wanted to do in your life. If you had passion for it, I'm not going to say just jump into country and western music and you grew up classical. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say if all this time you want to be a carpenter and you have no skills in it. No, this is the time for you to acquire those skills. Learn what your well, first of all is to learn what your passion is. Acquire the skills to push forth your compassion, your passion, and try to develop a system where you can build off of it and maybe even possibly have you and your family eat off of your passion. You know, I got a few books that I'm reading. I'm in between things. I'm in between chapters and all this thing, but I'm still dedicated. I'm still focused on, you know, providing services for other people, in the medium of, learning how to do this, uh, you know, basic marketing, financial systems, things of that nature. I'm learning more ropes about investing and what that curtails, and this different things that I do have a passion for. I try not to make too much mention of it unless a person is very interested in what it is. But it's a step by step basis. You have to get all the materials and all the resources you can in order to facilitate what you're trying to do, and that's what this message is all about. Hey, here in the Hall of Justice, as you see the Mayat, you see the Netaru lined up. That's why I use this background. It brings you into an environment that solidifies responsibility and accountability. You know, uh, responsibility to the antiquity of it, knowing there were those that came before you that had the vision and work things out enough so they can clarify it and leave stuff behind, right? The accountability comes in when you take upon that force and that mantle and you say, yeah, I'm gonna work with this and move forward, and that's what that's about. So overall, my message to all the different locales that's opening up, just please be safe, please be conscientious and alert of what's going on. You know, please develop for yourself a plan to try to make this better as far as that okay, we do have to have some revenue coming in. We do know that the mayor of this locale, the governor of this location is, you know, I don't want to say forcing your hand, but it's actually pushing you to open things up. Let's be a little more creative and still keep the flow. You know what I'm saying? I know you gotta, you know, consider what's going on right now. You have a business license. That means you're indebted to the state that you're in. I get it, and then you also want to be able to get some revenue in while things are slow, and this is the time to build up your market. If you can, get on social media and promote your businesses, promote your location, um, do things that are outside of the box that are creative that people, you know, develop a following around you. And then, you know, you may have 10 times as much service as you had before this pandemic. So this is definitely a time for a person's creativity to blossom and flourish. And it's also a time for um, you to consider you know, what we call the little man, the blue collar person. I don't want to just say it's the man, but man and woman, the blue collar person that struggles and strives and do what they can, are dedicated to a system, dedicated to the cause, dedicated to where they work because they know it feeds their family, and don't shut them out. Don't shut them out. If you have extras, give them something so they can feel, like what they're doing has a purpose. You have to really understand as a business owner or as a small business owner, corporation holder, what your employees feel. After a while, if they feel they're not appreciated enough, they'll take their business elsewhere. And you may lose somebody that has a wealth of information or has the charisma to push things forward, and you lose them. And you know, you'll get people in the middle, in between, that they'll do their best to try to make things a little better, but it's never like that one. Even for that person that may be tired, they've been there 30 years, 35 years, 40 years, and they've just given their heart and their soul and their identity and their characteristics and charisma to this position. And your partners know of them, the competitors know of them, the co-workers, everybody. And they're just such a loving person, or just that spirit that holds everything together, that once they feel that it's time for them to move on, it's like a void or a hole just opens up, and then you're just struggling to find somebody that fits. This happens um to prevent it from happening, or to try to soften the blow, is to appreciate those who have been stepping up as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, who has an assistant or a bunch of assistants, as a corporation and has employees. This is the time to recognize those stepping up. I mean, it's it's almost crucial to your business. It's almost crucial to your business, but it's very important, and it spreads good morale when you can have those people, just like somebody that writes a review for Yelp. It does a lot for the boosting of notifications and business, and it's just a beautiful vibe to have. So I thank you. I'm glad you listened to this all the way through. Hope it invigorated your spirit to do more exciting and innovative things. And put your plans down. If you can, use the blue ink with the white paper. Write them down. Boom, 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 boom. And may they come into fruition. I'm rooting for you if nobody else is. You know what I mean? I'm rooting for you if nobody else is. I'm going through this book, Living in the Village by Ryan C. Mack. Shouts to him and the team at Mocha Cafe. Um, Beautiful information on everything from investing uh, to budgeting to just knowing what your purpose is in life, and understanding how you need economics to blend in with that, and maintain a solid foundation, self accountability and upliftment, black empowerment, business empowerment. I don't care what you. At this point, it doesn't matter. Business empowerment, love empowerment. How about that? Love empowerment. So this is Omega Sun, the Wealth Chambers Experience. I wish you peace, wellness, oneness.